Welcome to our channel Beast Whisperer. It was supposed to be just another quiet trip, a weekend away to find some stillness in a world that never stops rushing. I had driven up north into the Rockies, to a stretch of wilderness that most people avoided once the first snow started to fall. Glacier-fed lakes, long-forgotten trails, and silence so pure it rang in your ears. That's what I wanted. No phone, no emails, no noise. Just me and the cold breath of the mountains. That morning, the wind had a bitter bite to it. You could feel winter tightening its grip. The lake, the one nestled between two ridges like a secret, hadn't frozen completely yet. Just a shimmering sheet of thin ice on the surface, cracking now and then like distant thunder. I was walking along the shore, wrapped in layers, boots crunching in the frost. There were no bird songs, just wind and the low hum of the earth beneath it all. Then I heard it. Not a sound you expect in a place like that. A deep, guttural cry. It wasn't human. But it wasn't just an animal sound either. It carried desperation, pain, a kind of pleading. I scanned the lake, and that's when I saw him. At first, I didn't know what I was looking at. Just a dark shape thrashing in the icy water, breaking through the thin film of ice again and again. But then he surfaced fully. A bear. A young grizzly. Not a cub, but not yet full grown. Maybe 2 or 3 years old. His fur was soaked and clinging to his body, making him look smaller than he probably was. He was struggling, paws slapping against the ice that wouldn't hold his weight. Every time he tried to climb out, the ice gave way, plunging him back into the freezing water. I froze. I've hiked these woods for years. I know how dangerous bears can be, especially when cornered or scared. But this wasn't a predator. This wasn't a threat. This was a living being on the edge of life, and there was no one else around. Just me and him. Something in me moved before my mind could catch up. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was something older than logic. I dropped my pack, pulled the emergency rope I always kept inside, and crept toward the edge of the lake. My boots slid a little, the surface slick. The bear noticed me then, eyes wide, full of terror and fatigue. He didn't growl, didn't thrash harder. He just looked at me. And something passed between us. It wasn't words, it wasn't language, but it was understanding. I tied away one end of the rope to a nearby tree and held the other end in my hands as I crept out onto the ice. Every step felt like I was walking on glass. My breath came in clouds. The cold started to bite into my skin even through the gloves. He was barely staying afloat by the time I reached him. His paws had gone red from the effort. Blood stained the broken edges of ice around him. I threw the rope. It landed on his head. He flinched, then realized what it was. I don't know how, but he did. Clumsily, weakly, he gripped it between his teeth. I pulled. My boots slid. The rope burned against my gloves. But inch by inch, I dragged him toward thicker ice, then toward the shore. It took everything I had. By the time he collapsed onto the frozen mud beside the lake, both of us were trembling. I backed away slowly, still unsure if he'd turn on me, but he didn't. He just lay there, sides heaving, steam rising from his soaked fur. And in that moment, he looked at me again. This time, the look was different. Not fear, not confusion. Gratitude. Then he stood, shakily, and walked away into the trees. I watched him go until the forest swallowed him. I didn't stay long after that. Something in me had shifted. I felt it in my chest, like my heart had witnessed something ancient, something sacred. I drove back that evening thinking about what had just happened. How close he had been to death. How close I had come to something I couldn't explain. But when I pulled into my driveway, the silence was broken in a way I couldn't have imagined. The front door was open. My dog, Charlie, wasn't barking like he usually did. Inside, the house had been torn apart. Drawers open, cabinets emptied, glass shattered on the floor. They took everything. The television, my camera, even the watch my father left me. Gone. And Charlie, he was lying in the hallway breathing but hurt. A limp in his back leg and a gash along his side. The vet said he must have tried to stop them. He probably held them off until they kicked him or hit him, but he survived. I sat on the floor that night beside him, staring at the empty walls. The anger came in waves. Why, I kept asking myself, would this happen today? The same day I saved something out there in the wild. Why come home to this? What kind of world repays compassion with cruelty? Days passed. Insurance covered some things. The police said they were looking into it, but didn't sound hopeful. I fixed the door, cleaned the floors, bandaged Charlie, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the bear and the break-in were somehow connected. Not literally, not like some karma machine, but emotionally, spiritually. Because both moments asked me the same question in different ways. Who are you when no one is watching? In the wild, I had a choice. Risk myself for another living being, or walk away. At home, someone else made a choice to take, to hurt, without thinking of the pain they'd leave behind. The contrast, it stuck with me. Weeks turned into months. Winter deepened, Charlie healed, and one morning, I found myself back at the lake. I don't know why. I guess I was looking for something I'd lost, or maybe something I'd found and hadn't yet understood. The lake was frozen solid now. Still, quiet, peaceful. I sat by the edge for a long while, just breathing. That's when I heard it. Crunching footsteps behind me. I turned, slowly. And there he was. The bear. Bigger now, stronger. His fur had grown thicker for winter. He stood a safe distance away, not moving any closer, just watching. No fear, no aggression. Just that same look. Recognition. We stayed like that for a minute, two creatures from different worlds, somehow bound by that one shared moment. And then he turned and walked back into the trees. That was the last time I saw him. But not the last time he changed me. Because here's what I've come to understand. Compassion doesn't always come with a reward. Sometimes it costs you. Sometimes you give your heart, your time, your strength, and the world gives you nothing back. Or worse, it kicks you while you're down. But the real reward isn't out there. It's in here, in the kind of person you become when you choose love over fear, mercy over indifference, integrity over convenience. That bear reminded me of something we all forget in the noise of life. We're not here to win at life. We're here to feel it, to connect, to protect what's vulnerable in others and in ourselves. Because the measure of who we are isn't in what we own or what we lose. It's in what we give, even when it hurts. Especially then.